available in your Java and C++, and also Python follows object-oriented concept. All the data at the background, everything in the objects and classes. I already explained everything stored as objects. Whatever we are creating, everything is stored as a objects. So whenever we are talking about objects and classes, it has three procedures. It has to follow three steps. So the first step you have to create uh, class. First you have to create the class. First you have to give the class definition. Then afterwards you have to create objects. After that you can access the functions which are available inside your class. So first step you have to create a class definition. This is your class definition. This is your object. This is your object. This is your accessing the data members which are inside your class. Okay. So whenever you are creating the class, see I'm creating the class, it's very little, see here, we are creating the class with the keyword, you have to use the keyword class and you have to use some name. Here for example, I have used the name computer and it should be ended with colon. You have to give colon, it's a syntax. So class, it's a keyword, you have to use class, then you have to give the class name and you have to use colon. Okay. Inside the class, whenever you're creating the class, inside it should have two important things. One is attributes and another one is behavior. Attributes and behavior. Okay. So in your class, third year class, if you are discussing about third year class, immediately what you will do, third year class consists of 41 students. Each students have its own behavior. Is that correct? Is that correct? Whenever I am discussing about third year class, I can say the third year class consists of 41 students. Each student has its own characteristics. Is that correct? Am I inside the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So each class it has some variables. Variable means like for example in your class the variable is number of students. Each students have its own characteristics. Okay, so like that coming to here programming language, the class nothing but it has two important things. One is attributes, another one is behavior. So attributes nothing but variable like int a, b, c. These are the variables. Okay, so then behavior nothing but methods. Behavior nothing but methods and otherwise normally it is called as functions. But in Python or your Java it is called as methods. Methods nothing but functions. So what is it functions? It may consist of um, get function. Correct? It's a function. So each class consists of variables and methods. Normally the class consists of attributes and behavior. It should consist of the variables, attributes and functions. That is nothing but method. Okay, so whenever you are writing the code to create the class, you should remember these points. What are the points you should remember? The first one is you have to use a keyword class and then you have to give class name and you have to give colon. And whenever we are talking about the definition, inside definition nothing but what we are going to write inside the class. Okay, it should consist of variables and methods. So I have given some example here, variables and uh, methods. So this is your class definition. Okay, why we go for class definition? You know that Python is full of classes and objects. So what is the necessary of creating this class? You know that Python consists of the background of Python is classes and objects. All the variables are stored as classes and objects. What is the necessity of creating this? inside the meeting? Am I inside the meeting? Students, are you listening?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the necessity of creating the classes and objects? So, classes and objects already, there are some classes objects are available inside your Python that are called as inbuilt objects, inbuilt classes. Okay, already the designer has defined everything, stored everything inside your Python background. Okay, so here we should know about the coding to create our own classes and objects, user defined classes and objects. This is called as user defined data type. In C, you have studied about structures, right? So structures are called as user defined data types. Similarly, in object oriented programming, we are having classes. So in Python, there are two types of classes are available. One is inbuilt and another one is user defined. I can create my own class. Why we have to go for this? The reason, I can give my own variables, I can give the characteristics for that particular variables. As per my requirement, as per my application, I can able to create it. This is user defined. But in your Python, it consists of some inbuilt class also, right? So I will explain this class. So this is one simple example class. So I told you that it consists of some variables and methods. That means function. So in this example, it consists of one function. This is called as function. So you know that the function nothing but how you can define your function using DEF definition in your Python. So DEF nothing but this is a keyword used to create your function. So DEF, this is a simple program configuration. So the class name is computer. So just to know about the computer configuration. So configure this. These names are not constant. You can vary as per your program. Right? The computer configure. These are created by the user. Okay. So configure self colon. This is your function. Inside the function, you have to define print. This data represents some particular computer configuration. i5, 16 GB, 1 terabyte. Okay. So this is your function definition or method definition. Method definition. This is the first step. Whenever you are creating the class, this is the first step. Correct? And then I am coming out of the class. That's all. This is your class definition. Okay. Now see this one. See this one. I have to create the object. I have to create the object. Okay. So what is this object? So object I am creating computer 1. COM1. COM1. So this COM1 is belonging to the class computer. Right? So for example, we are having int A. So what is int A? So A is a variable which is belonging to the data type integer. A is a variable which is belonging to the data type integer. Similarly, COM1 is a variable. It is like A, which is belonging to the data type computer. So this data type is a user-defined data type. Okay, so you can in different way you can write it computer COM1. So these two are equal, these two are equal. So COM1 is similar to your A and computer is similar to your integer. But the only difference, integer is an inbuilt one, computer is user defined one. Okay, so the first step you have to give the class definition. A second one you have to create an object. So this COM1 is an object. For this you have to use the syntax. This syntax you have to use. COM1 is equal to computer. Inside here you have to give this parameters. This syntax you have to use. So com1 is equal to computer, this parenthesis. So first step you have to give the class definition. Second step you have to create an object. So what is our object? com1. So like that you can create com2 is equal to computer, like the same thing. Like that com2, com3 is equal to computer, like this. So like that you can create more number of objects for a particular class. For my computer class, I can create com1, com2, com3, etc., etc., etc. I can able to create it. Right? So the first step is class definition. Second step, your object. The third step, you have to access your methods which are inside your class. So what is the first step? Can anyone tell me? What is the first step? Am I confusing you? Can you able to understand? Shall I get the response? Anybody is having doubt in this? So the first one is class definition. Second one, you have to create an object. Third step, you have to access data members. So these are all called as data members. What are the things you are giving inside? What are the things you are giving inside? These are called as data members. Okay. Now I want to access this data member. This is one data member, this function. I want to access this. I want to access this data member. How I can access? See here. Computer dot. So many times you are using dot operator. So what is the meaning of dot operator? I am calling this method for my object computer. Right? So and I am passing this object com1. So this is I am passing the object com1 and I am calling this method. So what is that method? Configure. Where it is available? Inside my class definition. So I am calling this method configure for my object, otherwise for my class computer, by passing the object com1. So these are the three steps. You have to follow these steps so that you can access the behaviors which are available inside the class definition. Can you able to understand? Shall I repeat? Anybody is having doubt in this?